kind of like Subaru in this situation. They kept dying, they kept getting knocked down, and they kept being getting another chance, getting better at figuring out what was going on, and just trying to be the best person they possibly can be. So for Anyone's Legend, they've got an opportunity, and they're back on red.
So does that mean that like halfway through the split, they're gonna like succumb to their madness from dying so many times for a little bit, and then get like a massive hero push at the end to make it to playoffs?
Spoilers! Oh my god! Can't believe you say this in the middle of. Oh my lord! Go watch ReZero or read the light novels. I have them all. They're very good. Again, we can figure out who the witches are later on in the series, but we can come back.
Me and you, I need to make sure me and you cast Anyone's Legend game again, so we can figure this out. But
honestly,
we're gonna see
the Anyone's Legend podcast come back.
We're gonna see draft change slightly. LNG ban out the Jinx this time instead of the Akali, so Forge will have that one available. I'm guessing LNG should be able to have an answer, but heck, AL looks like they're not even going to fall for the bait. They're going to say, hey, we're just going to go back to the Rise once again, take away what has probably been Doinby's best champion so far this split, keep being able to put up the pressure and get priority in mid lane, but still have enough ability to affect early skirmishes.
Yeah, and I think the big thing now is the adaptation has to come from LNG. Do you go back to the Leona Gwen, which you rotated on the last time round, or do you try and mix it up? Do you pick up your jungler? Maybe, or 80. Ooh, it's a Zeri solo lane now for LNG, confirmed.
Oh, you're right. So probably going to be getting that one in the mid lane for Doinby would be my guess. I'm really curious to see if he can play it, right? Because even though Doinby's always been a player who can play everything, he's also been like very outspoken on stream about like how much time he puts into and has to put into learning new champions. I remember back in 2020 when he was just spamming Azir to try and get that one down. Or I think it was 2020 summer when like the Orianna started showing up and he'd like was non-stop spamming it in solo queue. So we'll keep it down where that was going. On the opposite side, though, we get the Samira coming out for Betty. We were talking about earlier how we thought that this matchup would be a bit favored for Anyone's Legends bottom lane. We didn't really see that in Game 1, but in Game 2, they are just wanting to charge forward and dominate in the 2v2.
Yeah, big chance now here for Anyone's Legend to really make that solidified on the bot side. And again, short range AD carry. Kind of similar range on the side of LNG. You're going to have Zeri and Aphelios very close to this AD carry. So if Samira can get in with that Inferno trigger, it will do massive amounts of damage. And now we're in a very similar situation here for Anyone's Legend where they can ban away early game junglers. They can put Tarzan onto these slightly more fringe picks to, you know, kind of mute his impact in that early game, which it worked so well in Game 1.
Yeah, and I'm going to be keeping my eyes specifically on top laners going into the second rotation, right? If Gwen makes it through, do you just take it away as Anyone's Legend? I think it is by far the strongest blind pick on the patch. Or I think what would make more logical sense is just picking jungle on 4. It'll be curious to see if they take away the Lee Sin, because if you take away Lee Sin, it could be a little bit more wishy-washy. I did highlight the Volibear earlier as a potential option. Jarvan as well is still up. Sure, Zeri has a lot of mobility, but actually, Thresh plus Zeri on the opposite side, probably don't want a Jarvan. Maybe Volibear would be the best blind pick that comes to mind, since AL are already so indexed into skirmishing in the early game with Samira.
Yeah, they go with the Viego could be an option as well. We'll see what they want to go for. They're actually going to go with the Gwen, it looks like, for ZDZ. Don't know exactly where they're going into the top side, so keeping that counter jungle. And again, for Xiao Hao, this is a big moment for him. He's been given the priority. He's been given the choice of what he wants to go for into whatever Tarzan can throw at him. So the Gwen locked and loaded. We'll see what LNG's response is.
Yeah, for the side of LNG, I've already hit on the Volibear. I really do think that's the best pick left up for jungle. They do go for it right away. One of the counter picks to the Gwen is still the Kennen, and with the fact that you do have that Zeri coming through as well, getting a bit more magic damage is always really nice for the side of LNG. It sets them up for, I'd say, a comp that has a lot more options. It's much more dynamic than the composition they had in Game 1.
Yep, there it is. Going to be locked and loaded with the Kennen. So Zeri in the mid lane. Again, very short-range composition coming out here for LNG. A lot of champions that want to be very, very close to you, very much in melee range. And there's the Viego that we mentioned as well. So you're getting the Gwen, Viego, the lore combination here for the top jungle of Anyone's Legend. And again, I honestly, I'm looking at Anyone's Legend. I feel like they've got themselves pretty much everything they wanted, and it's going to be on LNG to make proactive plays.
Yeah, the one thing I'm curious about for anyone's Legend, and why I think I would have liked Volibear a bit more on their side, is just being able to lock down this area with the point-and-click stun of Volibear as compared to, okay, you do still have like the Runic Prism coming out from Rise, and like Chocho is shown. He is no fear in the world. But Doinby can become quite a problem in these team fights, and that's going to be the name of the game for both of these teams. Going to be all about those 5v5s later on.
I'll have to wait and see how it all works out for them. With both teams locked and loaded, anyone's Legend still 1-0 up. They could potentially lose this game and get themselves into a third one, but they want to get that 2-0. They want to push themselves towards that top 10. They're currently sitting at 11. And for LNG, this is the win streak. This is your 6-0 start. Could it go to 6-1 against all teams? Anyone's Legend was not the one I was expecting them to drop. Maybe against RNG later this weekend, but definitely not here. We'll see if they're able to crawl it back. And if it's a team that can do it, it is LNG. We are going to jump onto the ref for game 2, and this is going to be so pivotal for both these team seasons. I feel like this game, this series, is going to tell us a lot about where these two teams are going to finish come the end of the split.
100%. If anyone's Legend can pick up a 2-0 here, that will be such big momentum. Again, trying to guarantee yourself a playoff spot. Also, just being an actual contender for someone who maybe can make a run and win the LPL. A team that none of us expected to be able to do it. Swapped out Maple, brought back in Forge, and things have been clicking ever since.
Well, looking at the two compositions, we'll bring ourselves back into it. Oh, they're going to land the hook. He's dead. There's nowhere for him to go. That's going to be a kill. Immediately, anyone's Legend got the perfect start.
Yeah, really great by them looking for the play in the bottom side, committing 4 members there. They land the hook, and they do get it. Now we're going to be looking at how these landing phases do go, because, Machine, this is our first Zeri mid in the LPL. Honestly, not too familiar with the matchups that Zeri does have in the mid lane. Of course, we do know her early game is quite weak. I would expect that Rise, especially at the level 3 mark, will just be able to push her in. But you do have the Volibear on your side, so you do have more presence in the early game, especially with the fact that he has taken Press the Attack. A lot more of the early game aggression, ganking Rune, get more damage off, set up more damage coming in from your allies once you do proc that one. And looking at runes as well on the top side. Last time in the reverse matchup, right, we saw ZDZ go for the Electrocute. Ala, though, going for the Aerie, so wanting to play a much more lane-dominant style, even taking the Ignite instead of the TP.
I think Forge gets a little bit of experience from that ward dying there. He kind of just walked into range and then Betty took it away. I'm not 100% sure. I will triple check on that, but that did look like he got a little bit of experience. I'm actually looking at the replay on my second screen right now. Yeah, he got a tiny little bit of experience there from that ward. So there you go. You learn something new every single day, as you can now see where anyone's Legend want to go. They will, unfortunately, I will say it is a little bit unfortunate that the kill did go over to the Nautilus, but they wasted nothing on it. They still have Ignite, flashes, everything available to them. And it's exhaust again, like you mentioned, for ZDZ in that top side. So we'll see what they're able to make work for them. It is a little bit better for Ala at the moment. He actually gone with the Doran's Blade rather than the Cull, as we can see them maybe look towards his bot side. And already Chocho acting aggressive. Xiaohao thinks he's not been seen, but they already know exactly where he is. He should spot that ward on his way out. No, he does. Oh, there it is. Okay, now he knows he's been spotted out. And now he knows they're in full vision of exactly what he's trying to do.
Yeah, so now Tarzan does have a little bit of a tempo advantage, and now you could use this as a side of LNG, which we see him doing now, right? You have push in mid, you have push in bot, you just spotted out the enemy jungler, you're level 3, you can look for this aggressive play. I'd like to see Lumao starting to hover over right now.
Well, Chocho's going to do that instead, so he knows the two of them are there. Maybe try and look for a steal. It's level 3 for both junglers, but Doomby has the push in mid lane. Natural for the AD Zeri to have that over the AP Rise, and that's going to mean maybe a blue buff steal here for LNG. And again, Xiaohao being a bit aggressive, looking for something that wasn't really going to be there, and unfortunately for him, is going to be punished for it.
Right, it just comes with the gamble of looking for that early game gank in the bottom side. Nice hover by Chocho to make sure that Xiaohao can walk to his wolves uninterrupted. LNG, though, they did it great. They waited for their waves to be completely pushed out first before committing the full roam. Sure, it means you don't get there early enough to maybe try and find the kill or at least a flash from Xiaohao, but it does guarantee you to keep up your lead in the jungle. Because now for Xiaohao, you only have Krugs left open. For Tarzan, you still have your whole bottom side jungle.
Oh, going to be swapping the Scuttle Bobs. Again, it is going to be the one camp here, but it does, like you mentioned, kind of put a weird timer on a lot of different camps. We'll see a hook not land there onto light. Could have been a little bit of a lollipop. Not quite able to make it happen. And again, we're seeing Xiaohao try to be a bit aggressive here. And with this wave crashing in topside, Ala needs to be very careful. Does have the Ignite, so could maybe turn this one around. Needs to be so aware of this. As we now see, Doinby has got himself his W, gets himself over the wall. And that's the power of this area, especially in that mid lane. You have so much room for skill expression that you can go a little bit more aggressive than other mid laners.
Also very easy to roam, right? Just jumping over, sliding down a wall with your E, trying to get to those side lanes faster, back to the place of happening. So it's going to be really cool and fun to see what Doinby is able to do on this champion. I also want to say it's kind of funny that AL, you know, they wanted the Gwen because it is the highest priority blind pick top laner on the patch. I can understand why they picked it up, but since he didn't get the early game jungler, he's still playing like he has the champion that is more low economy, right? He's still the one looking for the aggressive ganks, to where Tarzan has been more committed to just farming his own jungle, finding his own lead. And it seems for the side of LNG, they're more comfortable just waiting for something like the Rift Herald to come up and wait for that big 5v5.
So the Gwen priority, though, is working out very well for ZDZ. Finally has himself a winning lane. Did have the opposite side of this matchup. And now Ala, without a TP, and this is the big thing I wanted to try and touch on as well. We saw the TP being very clutch for ZDZ in the last game and went for that scaling Cole pickup as well. He's gotten a lot more aggressive. Picked up the Doran's Blade, of course, and the Ignite. So he's not going to have as much of its good time. He's going to miss about a wave and a half here in top side.
I mean, he even took Airy, right? We said ZDZ took Electrocute the last time around, trying to play more for the burst you can find in team fights. Ala has built specifically for the laning phase. Hasn't been able to win out in the 1v1. Hasn't gotten any ganks committed up towards him from Tarzan yet either. So I agree. If Ala can't, you know, start finding something, if he doesn't call Tarzan up, maybe have Doinby roam over as well. Could be a little bit rough come into the team fights with the, I'd say, lack of damage you are bringing. Even ZDZ, I like that he's the exhaust for Ala in the team fight specifically. So it feels like anyone's Legend have all the tools to deal with the Kennen later on in the game. And now we're at the point where Forge does have his Realm Warp as well. So Forge should be able to find a faster impact on the map than Doinby will be able to do on the Zeri.
That ward is so perfectly placed as well, just a little bit off. Chocho is going to be jumped on here. We'll get the full commit here from Lumao. They jump straight back on the Tarzan. As you got now Forge coming in here, trying to trade this one back. Has got his Realm up to try and maybe keep Xiaohao alive, and just does that. So nicely done there as Doinby keeps pushing forward. Has not used the ultimate just yet, but has got plenty of stacks to keep everyone nicely damaged down. As we can see the hook missing off there. Tarzan flashes forward. They get the flash hook in, and Xiaohao tries to get himself away. Chocho will not be so lucky, and that's going to be a kill back there for LNG.
I can't believe they were even that aggressive. You're both below 50% HP, but they're still angling to find the hook onto Tarzan. The second they miss, I love that LNG recognized the moment. They commit their flashes in onto the play. It's going to set up for a Dragon to come out for the side of LNG.
That's a big win. This is the kind of early game we expected to see from LNG in game one. They weren't gifted it. Now anyone's Legend maybe faltering it just a little bit. It feels very aggressive to go for a ward at this point when you know that Tarzan is literally just off to your left.
And the biggest thing, right, is you don't see LNG's bottom lane, but LNG does see your bottom lane. They see Samira pushing out the wave in bot side, so they do have numbers advantage in this play. They commit for the ward. Really nice move by Lumao to set it up with the hook. But this is what I was talking about of, like, anyone's Legend being a little bit too cheeky, in my opinion, trying to find the pick onto Tarzan. And it got completely turned around.
Yeah, really did. And you're looking at something like this as well, and you can see just how these long extended skirmishes, they suit someone like a Zeri. Having the extra, you know, the Q and the auto attacks to slow you down. They've got so many ways of just keeping a fight alive, and that was before the Lightning Crash ultimate came in as well. So that could have been a lot worse for the side of anyone's Legend. They will just trade back, and they will be able to get themselves a blue buff steal as well. But already down a Dragon, not the ideal start they had like in game one, but it's still many days away, and they still technically have themselves a gold lead.
The thing that'll be rough for them later on will be the range advantage they will be dealing with, especially coming from the Aphelios. I mean, you're kind of in a similar situation as I'll pause, LNG trying to find a fight.
It's 3v3 right now. Both bot lanes very much set there. Now we can see LNG's bot lane moving up, so I feel like anyone's Legend is just going to have to give this one up. They don't really have the tools available to them. They are still hovering around. Again, you've got Ala with the Ignite and, of course, the Slicing Maelstrom. They're just going to back themselves away. Again, good movement here from LNG, recognizing they have the early game advantages as Forge walks aggressively forward, gets the Rune Prison down, but again, still very difficult to make anything really stick here for anyone's Legend.
Ooh, Starzan keeps trying, but what I was trying to say before is the fact that for anyone's legend, they're now the composition that needs to jump in. Betty needing to get into the faces of the enemy, trying to pop that ultimate. Xiao Hao and ZDZ as well. To where Light is going to be standing in the back chilling. Should have an easy time getting off all his damage. You have a really good amount of peel coming out from your Thresh, Volley Bear, and the Kennen, who can play a bit in the same way that we saw ZDZ do last time around. I mean, heck, it's actually even better for you because the enemy AD carry is going to be one of the people jumping into your Slicing Maelstrom. So I feel like LNG going to get a lot of value around all of the objectives. Unless AL can start finding the picks that they have been looking for. They just haven't been able to guarantee any kills from nice vision control coming out from LNG.
Yeah, they LNG looking a little bit more composed in Game 2 compared to Game 1. Definitely feels a little bit better from them. Again, still plenty of opportunities here for anyone's legend. We know what they can do when we start to see those first items being picked up. When we see things like the Divine Sunderer for Xiao Hao, when we have got the Everfrost alongside the Realm Warp for the Rise, that's when things start to get a little bit more interesting, shall we say, for anyone's legend. And for LNG, they're happy enough to pick up, you know, the side lanes. They're happy enough to get Light scaling a little bit better on this Aphelios. It's slightly down on CS, but should be able to equal that one out now that he's been given free reign of the top side. And it looks like it's just going to be a trade of turret plates. You can see already in the minimap, Tarzan working his way up towards that top side. Probably just going to drop down the Rift Herald, give all that lovely, lovely gold over to Light.
Yeah, and you can see that anyone's legend are not positioned to try and react on the bottom half of the map, so they're sending their bot lane up towards top side to try to react to the push right now. LNG should just be able to get this turret before anything happens, though, and look for the disengage. ZZ living life on the edge.
Yeah, very much on the edge there, but we actually have anyone's legend reacting to this one here and bringing up their bot side, so we don't have to see the commitment of the Rift Herald. But honestly, this feels like a little bit of a flub here from anyone's legend. You had no real reason to try and answer this, and you're just losing out on the bottom half. So this doesn't feel like the correct play coming out here from anyone's legend. Now Betty's actually already on a bad rotation, trying to get back down towards bot side to try and pick up before he loses out even more.
I can actually understand what anyone's legend's thought process was, because Xiao Hao wasn't on the bottom half of the map at the time. Your lane was behind in regards to the push. They have the Rift Herald, so it's like, hey, we actually won't be able to match them in the push. Maybe we'll get a plate and a half. So back off, try and angle up for the fight in top side, which maybe can try and come out ahead in. But LNG have outsmarted them, and it looks like ZDZ is just going to go down.
Yeah, ZDZ in a lot of trouble here. He will have missed, though, so he'll be able to stop the hook from landing onto him. Shelly going to be dropped into the top side, so there's going to be the trade of the tower. And again, Light eventually will pick up all of this yummy, yummy gold. Pretty much solo there, as Tarzan will get himself his own little bit as well. So there's 610 gold going over to the AD carry.
They might get both towers.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is the difference we were talking about. When you get this Rift Herald, it doesn't just equal 1, it might equal 2, and that could be a big swing of gold here in favor of LNG. They're already about 1,000 gold ahead, and not quite going to be able to get the second turret, but they're putting pressure on it. Doesn't look like anyone's legend have an answer.
Yeah, anyone's legend, Forge and Xiao Hao were standing in fog of war, kind of putting a bit of pressure. It looks like they were looking for a Realm Warp opportunity if LNG did overcommit. LNG choose not to overcommit, though. Allah going in. He's just gone. Yep. He's just gone.
There's nowhere else for him to go, as we can now see the ZDZ getting the treatment up in top side. All 4 members of LNG are here. He's going to get jumped on. He's going to get completely stunned up. Nowhere for him to go. He drops down the exhaust. He's actually getting some decent healing out as well. They'll turn off the turret in the base as well as ZDZ, excuse me, not quite able to keep himself alive. They're going to use the Realm Warp in bot side. They'll get a tier 2. They might just keep going for this one here. Flash away by Allah keeps himself safe. It's a trade of a dragon, but LNG are kind of running the mill right now.
I didn't see Xiao Hao leave the Realm War. Okay, hook comes out. This isn't stopping.
They're going to be able to get a lot of damage onto Light, but not quite enough. They don't have the completed item. He flashes forward with the Inferno trigger. Both flashes from Lumao and Light. Nothing to be gained there for anyone's legend. If that had gone their way, it would have been a fantastic little silver lining, but sadly for them, they're not quite able to make it work.
They've tried to make 2 plays to answer. One in bot side with the Realm Warp, and now this one. Neither one panning out. LNG are pissed off about last game, and they're letting anyone's legend know. But I just can't get over the Kennen kill onto the Samira. It happened so fast, you didn't even have time to say anything about it. It was here and it was gone. Oh, we're gonna get to see what happens.
Oh,
it's because he clicked.
He clicked to say he wanted to leave. If you don't know why, there is an interaction with the ultimate that basically if you click outside of it that you don't want to take it, it will take you as if you're not taking it. So
I gotta say,
sad.
when those whole shenanigans happened with Fnatic, I'm surprised by like how many people didn't know about this interaction, because I remember it popped up on Reddit a few years ago and it was like massive at the time. I think it happened in a game of CBLOL. But yeah, it's actually been around for a while. And luckily we haven't seen it disrupt too many plays, but sadly for Xiaohao, that could have potentially been a kill.
Could have potentially been the kill, but now we'll wait to see where the next fight happens. If any kills go over to the side of anyone's legend, they're down about 2,500 gold at this point, maybe even a little bit more, but they are starting to pick up their first items. We are seeing much bigger item spikes though for the side of LNG, but here we go. Chocho goes straight in, has the glacial off to try and reduce Tarzan's damage, but this is the big thing I was talking about. You don't have your mythics. You're not at a point of power here for anyone's legend, and they're just going to go in, go out, lose their support. They're going to lose mid lane as well, and probably the Rift Tower. They're going to lose everything.
Yeah, I mean, for LNG, this already a 3K gold lead at 15 minutes, and it's kind of funny that we hit on the concept of like when you're playing the composition that really has to commit in, what happens when you fall behind. Well, anyone's legend are on the receiving end of that one, where it's like, hey, you're a bunch of short-range champions that kind of need to dive into what the enemy wants to do. And I'd even say this time around, like, sure, you do have some side lane pick potential, but like you're hitting on in terms of how they don't have their mythic items, right? They just don't have the damage to be able to look for these picks. And now, heck, another Rift Herald on top of it. LNG are getting everything.
Again, I just don't know why you're taking this fight right now. You're just not got the damage. It's great kiting here as well from Luma to keep Tarzan from basically getting chunked out, but your actual damage dealers just aren't available. You can see there the Gwen, the Ryze, the Samira just walking away. You're just not really in a position to fight that.
It's also one of the ones where I'll give anyone's legend the lyric empathy once again, where it's like, okay, I get what you're looking for. One member walks too far forward. Like, you theoretically have numbers advantage in that one specific pick because sure, the other members are close by, but your members are closer. But like you said, they overestimating the amount of burst and DPS they do have at this moment. So Tarzan is able to get away. And hey, I will always be a brother to the team of anyone's legend.
You're just a brother to any team in general. You have too much of a sympathy and empathy towards how players feel, because they're actual people and they make mistakes. How dare you? How dare you insinuate that to them? It's just unbelievable how you come into this league and not just flame everybody. Can't believe you've done this.
Whoa. Actually, I did do that if you think back to 2020. But,
in 2020, you were very cynical. I think you kind of like looked yourself in the mirror and went, I need to stop.
I think I looked... I stared into the soul of the league and realized, like, okay, you can either criticize LPL about everything, or you can adapt. You can learn to love it.
I mean, yeah, I kind of agree. I also think that, bad play is just an opinion. Bad build is your subjective, setup of things. There's no such thing as bad builds or bad plays, That's all your opinion, man. I don't know what else to tell you. What I can tell you right now is that LNG are coming back in and they're going to look to try and secure themselves the second Drake for them. Third Drake of the game, it is going to be a Mountain Soul. There's just good vision control all around here for the side of LNG. So they will get a trade of turrets in the top side, as we do see Forge pushing in that one. Has got the TP available to him, and ZDZ just waiting to pick up his first mythic item, but not really a lot you can do with this. You're going to have to give this one up for free.
I do got to say, like, LNG obviously correctly going through the right steps, push out mid, push out bot, like walk into the enemy jungle together, set it up for Drake. But anyone's legend also having a good response, and I'd say a better response with this style of comp than we saw with LNG, where it's like, hey, we're going to give this one up. We're going to start committing to the sides and try and get some gold back in their favor. And luckily for them, this is only the second Drake for the side of LNG, so the timer not exactly there yet. I will say, in my opinion, LNG should still squarely be favored in terms of team fights going forward in the game, unless someone is able to get picked off. So for anyone's legend, we're going to be looking at how they use their realm orbs. For LNG, you're probably going to be looking to push up into that top side right now, get some vision, then just try and find some picks.
I will say as well, if we're talking about people getting picked off, Lumao is, kind of famous so far this blip for just randomly getting picked off. So I'm curious to see about his positioning. He should basically be with Light at all times. If he gets caught and Light doesn't have that extra bit of safety, a little bit of extra flexibility of where his positioning can be, that's where this game gets a little bit scary here for LNG. So it's not over yet for anyone's Legend, but we'll see a full engage up on that top side. Rise forced to flash away, as Forge will get the Ignite out of Ale as well as the Slicing Maelstrom, but maybe they use this as an opportunity to try and go for something in this bot side. Chocho and Betty moving forward with Xiaohao, but Doomby so mobile, and now they can maybe look to try and make this one work. They're going to have TP from Rise off on the back side. There's going to be the ultimate from the Volley Baron, gets himself the Dark Passage as well. Not quite able to burst him out just yet. They get the TP out of the Rise. Again, job's done from LNG. They have the inside track.
Yeah, LNG, I love the coordination on the play, right? Because they've all forced the 1v1 topside because he does not have TP. So it's like, okay, try and burst up the Rise, at least get him low so he can't look for a successful TP play himself, which allows for the other 4 members to look for the aggressive engage in that bottom side. So LNG doing a nice job of setting that one up. Now that Baron should be coming up soon, this is where I would expect maybe the pivot towards a bit more vision in topside to happen that we just spoke on, but good coordination from LNG, nice focus of where they are on the map, and keeping AL on the back foot, where AL's having to constantly think about, hey, what's LNG going to do? Where do we have to dedicate our resources?
Yeah, I think that's how LNG have to play as well. We talked about how aggressive Ala is playing with this, airy and ignite combination. There are no teleports for the side of LNG. They cannot answer a side lane as effectively as anyone's Legend. So you have to be proactive. You have to try and make things work for you. Otherwise, you are just going to lose out straight up on pressure just because of the summoner spells available to you. So now with anyone's Legend moving forward, see if they want to go for something a bit more aggressive here. Trying to steal away the blue buff. It will reset, though, because the aggro does work that way. And I will say the Mountain Rift, I'm going to stop myself very quickly. As Tarzan gets caught out, they're going to knock him up just a little bit more. Betty gets himself exhausted by Doombees. He gets the Inferno trigger off. They flash in. Lumao trying to get on top of him. Xiaohao jumping on the Doombe, but Doombe is totally fine. And now Doombe is taking up a double kill here. And now Forge by himself around this Baron buff. LNG took game 1 personally, and they're trying to turn this over. ZDZ auto attack the ward. Ala and ZDZ going 1 for 1. And the 1v1 belongs to Ala. That is a clean sweep across the board. LNG dumps across everybody, and they're going to get the Baron to boot.
Yeah, I mean, they're just winning all over the map. That topside skirmish is so sad with how little damage the members of AL are still able to do to the side of LNG. Baron's going to come out. There's only one inner turret left for LNG, so this one should be pretty easy for them to start breaking down and getting into the base. But we're going to get a replay of that fight, not how it started, but, AL trying to find the engagement on Tarzan. He gets out immediately, but this is what surprises me. Xiaohao trying to get on to Doinby, no one else able to follow up because Betty was already chunked so low. It's like, okay, Rise, you just realm warped into the pit. You're now stuck between a rock and a hard place. You're going to go down as well. Baron will be ours. And cool, we also get the 1v1 replay. Rocket Belt comes out, gets almost has enough to get the stun. Stun follows.
Half health him, and there's still enough damage and survivability, and there's no mana on ZDZ. That's how stupid Gwen can be. And speaking of stupid, we're gonna go straight back into live because Xiaohao looking pretty silly as he gets himself caught out. Jojo has to get himself away from the fight. Goes golden with minuscule levels of health. They've killed off Light, but Doombe's now the AD carry. Tarzan jumps straight on in. Double kill, triple kill, quadra kill for Doombe, and the man in the mid lane strikes back.
Our first game of Zeri mid here in the LPL. Doinby's the one to bring it out. They win the fight. They're going to start pushing into the base, taking inhibitors. And yeah, this game, LNG not happy about game 1. Coming in very pissed off into this game 2. And honestly, slapping AL even harder than AL slapped them.
Yeah, this is a bit of a, those like slapping championships where the one guy kind of takes it, he goes, oh, okay, and the other guy just like absolutely puts the guy on the floor on the second time. So it is feeling very harsh. But
oh, God.
This is kind of what we expected from this series. Again, AL taking the first game was not expected, especially in the fashion in. But let's have a look at the replay. AL just trying to walk themselves away. Tarzan saying, nope, Xiaohao, you are dead, and you have to fully commit to this. If you can win this and maybe get something going for you, you have a chance. But at this point, you just got to try something.
Yeah, luckily for the side of AL, they find their way onto Light unharmed. but still going to be popping off on the side. Olive finally comes into the fight. Your other two members are low. LNG easily able to clean this one up, as we had something pop up in the left-hand side of our screen. I don't know if it was just LNG because Dragon, but that's my guess.
Yes, it was. It was just Dragon being picked up by LNG, so they got themselves on the soul point. We'll see a hook coming in. They're looking to double knock up down to Tarzan, but look at there. There's just so much damage. There's nothing that Chocho can do. They are getting some fairly decent damage down, though, with ZDZ, but look at Doonby. He's getting 2 kills. He's getting 3. He's not going to be able to get himself a 4th. It's going to be stolen away, but maybe it's going to be a double quadra as he jumps straight onto Forge. He goes underneath the tower. This Zeri is so busted in the right hands, and those hands are in Doonby. LNG not going to let the streak die just yet. They're going to send us to a game 3, Lyric.
Yep, once again, LNG so far have been bent, but they have not broken. They will once again have a chance to try and keep their undefeated streak going by clapping anyone's legends in Game 2.
Yeah, clap, clap. That is all you need. Just slow clap, golf clap available to you. And a double kill there for Lumao at the end as LNG tie up the series. And yeah, that felt a little bit personal from LNG. I felt like they came into this game saying, look, we should not have lost game 1, and they really meant it as well.
Yeah, they came in